Hi, you're watching Cooking with Diane. I'm Diane, and today we're going to talk about how to cut garlic. Generally, if you're following a recipe, it might ask for one of three things: sliced garlic, chopped garlic, or minced garlic. So I'm going to show you how to break down a bulb of garlic into all three of these things. So first, let's go over the anatomy of a garlic. So this is called a bulb of garlic, and a bulb of garlic comprises about 8 to 12 cloves of garlic. So cloves are the individual little pieces inside the bulb. To break into a bulb of garlic, you can just kind of start working away any excess papery skin around the edges so you can see the cloves a little bit better. And generally, you'd probably just be like picking 1 or 2 cloves off of, generally you'd just be picking 1 or 2 cloves off of the bulb. If you really want to break down the whole bulb into all of its cloves, you can smash it with your hands, and that should break it down. Some garlics are easier to separate than others depending on how fresh they are. The fresher the garlic, the stickier it's going to be. So no matter what you're doing with your garlic, you're probably going to want to peel it. If you're just going to be mincing or slicing your garlic anyway, I recommend the smashing method of peeling, which means you're going to take the flat of your knife and just give it a little tap. We're not pulverizing the garlic into paste, and you don't want to be so timid that the garlic doesn't get affected at all. Just one good whack will do it. You see how the paper kind of broke, and that just gives you an in. You still have to use your fingers to take the skin off. You're going to have to do that no matter what. This just makes it a little bit easier because it loosens the skin. If you need your garlic clove to stay whole and not broken or smashed at all, I recommend peeling it with a paring knife. I go at it from the bottom, so I cut off the little nub at the bottom, and then I peel the skin upwards. Sometimes if there's already an opening, you can go at it from there. So there are a lot of hacks people will show you, but in the end, you're still going to have to peel the garlic one way or another. It's just something you have to do. When you're peeling garlic, you can look for any discolorations or moldy spots. This one has like a harder, browner area right here. I'm just going to cut that off too, but the rest of it is totally usable. However you peel your garlic, it's also important to take off this little end piece. It's not going to kill you, but it's kind of hard and not very tasty. So let's start with slicing. If you're sauteing garlic with greens or putting it in a stew where it doesn't matter too much if the garlic is super small, you're probably going to want to slice it. You can slice it either way, lengthwise or crosswise. I find that lengthwise looks a little bit prettier because then you can see the silhouette of the garlic. Whenever you're slicing garlic, make sure to keep the tip of your knife on the board and cut down and forward. This will really help you to get nice thin slices because it will give you more control. So you're going to start by holding the garlic with a teeny tiny bear claw, and then just start to slice it as thin as you can along one of the sides. And remember, keep the tip of your knife on the board. That will help you get thinner slices. And I know at some point it might be really, really hard to hold on to that last piece of garlic. So you can go ahead and tip it over so that the flat side is down, and then slice it that way, and you should be able to finish the clove. And it's okay if these slices are a little bit thinner than the other slices. So this is my sliced garlic. And if a recipe calls for sliced garlic, that's it, you're done. If a recipe calls for minced garlic, I also start by slicing the garlic. It's easier to mince a pile of garlic slices than it is to mince one large, hard garlic clove. So once you have a pile of your garlic slices, you're going to do the mincing action. So the mincing action goes like this. The tip of your knife stays on the board. It doesn't come off the board. You hold the tip of the knife down with your non-dominant hand, and then you're going to chop down and forward, but also back and forth at the same time. So it's going to look like this. And you'll notice that as I chop, the garlic's getting smaller and smaller, but it's also starting to spread out a lot. If you find yourself really reaching to get to all of the garlic, stop, take a little break, carefully get the garlic off your knife, carefully gather it back together into one pile, and then you can start again. So if you only mince for a little while and you still have kind of big pieces of garlic, this is called chopped garlic. Chopped just means it's broken down, but it doesn't have to be super small. Minced means please make it really small so you don't get a big piece of garlic in your food when you're eating it. You can continue doing this for as long as you want to get the garlic as small as you want for your recipe. In general, the smaller you chop your garlic, the garlickier your food will become. So that's 1 clove of minced garlic. The last thing I want to show you is how to make garlic paste. So a lot of chefs will show you this fancy thing where they mince the garlic on the board and then they use the flat of their knife and some salt to really smash the garlic into a paste on their board. As a home cook, I really don't think that's necessary. It's going to make your board smell like garlic forever. I actually use a tool called a microplane grater to make my garlic smaller than a mince. So if you want your garlic to be even finer than minced, you can use a microplane grater. So in this case, we're going to peel it so that it stays completely whole and intact, and we're going to leave the little bottom on because that's going to be our handle when we use the microplane grater. So a microplane grater is kind of like a cheese grater, but it has very, very fine holes. They're not all this shape. Some of them are a little bit longer and skinnier, but they should have really fine grated holes like this. Whenever you're grating something on the microplane, make sure you have a handle so that you don't end up grating your fingertips later. And I also find that anchoring my microplane on my cutting board will give me more control to grate it. So if you just rub your garlic along the microplane, and be careful of your fingertips, this will sort of grate the garlic and make it more into a puree. And once you get to that little end piece, that's what you can compost. So most of the garlic is not on my board because it's stuck to the backside of the microplane. But this is my garlic paste. So I use this if I'm using garlic raw in something creamy like an aioli or a dressing, so that I don't get big chunks of garlic in my dressing. And I find this a lot easier to clean than a garlic press, which crushes the garlic instead of grating or mincing it. So this is our sliced garlic, our minced garlic, and our garlic puree. So that's how to peel garlic, chop garlic, mince garlic, slice garlic, and puree garlic for whatever your recipe calls for. Thanks so much for watching Cooking with Diane. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.